podcast about breakups, love, and pop culture. I'm Isabella Shields, and oh my god.
Who are you?
I'm Isabella Shields.
And I'm Benmakhlouf.
And this week we're joined by two of our all-time favourites. The light of my life and the friend I've had for 100 years, Stephen Cunningham, and the fire of my loins and my partner, Harlan McGlinchey. Hello to you both.
Hello, hi. Sorry.
Today we're talking about the relationships in Disney films, namely The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, and Hercules.
Yes.
Did you all pick one each?
Well, Stephen and I sort of collaboratively picked them.
Right, cool.
Stephen is an animator and I would say Disney expert.
Mm-hmm. And they are not coincidental because I feel like your identity as animator is so rooted in your love of Disney.
I agree. And now it's just a stage of doing animation as an excuse to still be watching Disney films regularly. But I'm very excited about this episode. Although I already know it's going to end up being a debate about who the best Disney princess is and why the answer is obviously Mulan, and that there is no debate, really.
She's not actually a princess, but I do see that you've got a lot of good points to make here. Harlan, you're really on the other side of this debate, though, as someone who described Disney films as one note today.
No, I described most of the characters as one note rather than the story.
So there's this like 6 notes played at once.
I don't know, they're fine. They're just not like, I like animation a lot. And there's a lot in them that I can appreciate. Just, I don't know, just the stories are not like massively my thing. So that's not really what I focus on so much when I am watching them.
We've got some great reactions from Stephen going on as Harlan gives their opinion.
I didn't say anything.
But we'll get there, right?
Yeah. Stephen and I used to play Disney Trivial Pursuit as an indicator of like just how invested both of us are in Disney films. Like, I can acknowledge there's a lot wrong with them. I feel like I am in the middle of this, like, they're kind of bad, but they're also amazing debate.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm gonna land dead center. Adam, where are you feeling?
I feel really similarly about the Disney as Sex and the City, which is, it is so embedded in everything I think and feel about the world.
Yeah.
You know, like all of my expectations of love, princehood, you know, being royal, having animal pals, like it all comes from Disney movies.
I thought you were gonna say it all came true.
It all came true, actually. I think I have a lot of like solid animal pals that I have a lot of investment in.
Yeah.
You know, I've had some tumultuous love relationships that have probably followed the path of the melodrama of Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the princehood we're waiting on. But I think it is round the corner.
I went to that lunch with the Queen. What was it? The garden party. Yeah. So that's.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
How was that? Did you wear a hat? Nice.
I did wear a hat. I didn't abide by the dress code, actually.
Did you not?
No.
Good.
What did they say about you not abiding by the dress code?
I'm sure she saw me at some point in the distance. There's a lot of people there.
She clocked your casual onesie.
Yeah, clock the physique.
Yeah, that's my life.
Well, should we just begin?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to start off with The Little Mermaid, which is potentially, as it turns out, one of my favourites, and the first film I ever saw in the cinema in the re-release by Ron Clements and John Musker, which began the Disney animation renaissance, because it's all a bit dead since Sleeping Beauty kind of tanked it. It's about a beautiful and adventurous mermaid princess who's sick of being underwater, but she is super into human Prince Eric, whose hot blonde and beautiful face she has to rescue from a shipwreck. This starts a chain of events where she falls in love with him, he falls in love with her voice, and her dad Triton gets raging at her because she's risking the lives of the mermaid people everywhere. So she sells her voice to Ursula the Sea Witch for a chance to stomp about on land and get off with beautiful Prince Eric within 3 days, or Ursula gets her soul. They do loads of flirting and all seems to be going really well until Ursula finds out what's going on and intervenes by putting a spell on Eric with Ariel's voice and tricking him into getting engaged to her on that third and final day of Ariel's life on land. Ursula's wedding to Prince Eric and her real plan to capture Triton and become Queen Sea Witch is derailed as Ariel and Eric work together to destroy Ursula, releasing all her mad wee souls and Triton. Triton has renewed faith in humans and his daughter and transforms her into a human so she can marry Eric and live happily ever after. And all the songs are banging.
It's my favourite of the three, for sure. Yeah.
It does have the best songs, I think.
Ooh.
Out of the four we're talking about today, I think I have to disagree. I really do. For me, out of these four, this is the most problematic film.
Hard disagree.
No, but in terms of like the subject of what the whole podcast is about, you know, breakups, relationships, this is the most problematic film for me.
More than Beauty and the Beast?
More than Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
And I don't know if that's my bias for Belle creeping in. I think, honestly, more than Beauty and the Beast. Well, I'm sure we're going to get onto it later, but I think it totally is down to Belle and Ariel's personalities.
Okay, so when I was younger, I thought Belle was like the best one. But watching this, I kind of realised how much Ariel's like doing stuff for herself. She rescues Eric. At the end, she and Eric have to like work together. She's doing everything that she wants to do. She's standing up to the patriarchy in the form of her dad.
How does she stand up to the patriarchy of her dad?
She goes to a woman sea witch.
Yes.
And makes some dumb decisions that she's fully aware of because there was a contract and she should have read it. And then she goes and like does exactly what she wants. She puts like, she just wants new stuff. She wants to learn new things. She wants more than the bubble world that her dad's created for her. So she pops out of it.
Oh, you're phrasing this very nicely.
And then she goes, she like meets Eric and she's supported by two little men, Scuttle and Sebastian. Flounder's still in the sea because Flounder's a bit of a dud. But I think she really pulls it off. And I think that's also why, so the way, like the breakup in this is when she's just had that beautiful date with Eric, they're floating about in the Blue Lagoon and singing, like Kiss the Girls playing, and then they almost kiss but then they don't. She goes home, she thinks it's all great, and she wakes up the next morning and Scuttle flies in and is like, oh, the prince is getting married today, there's going to be a wedding, congrats, oh my god, well done. And then she goes downstairs and sees that Eric is engaged to Ursula as a human being, and they're getting married that day because Ursula stole her voice and used it to trick Eric into thinking that she was the one who saved him from the shipwreck. And Ariel's like got her back to a pillar in the main hall and she's like crying and she's got a little anxious hand going and she's breathing so hard. It's brutal. It is a brutal way to find out you've been dumped.
It is brutal. I think if anyone else in that situation, would you not be storming down those stairs? Like, what is going on here? Explain yourself. I know she can't talk, but then that's the biggest problem. You say she made some questionable decisions. Those questionable decisions are quite a big part of the film. She gives up her voice, means of communicating, which really makes her just a visual object for Eric that can't express her personality very well.
I thought the point was that she does express her personality extremely well, because it's like you can see visually she's so like interested in stuff. Like when they're doing the tour of the kingdom, she's like in everything, wanting to find out about stuff. Like she doesn't actually that like spoken language to make those connections need.
I mean, it's a scale of, you know, feminine agency.
Yeah.
You know, we're not seeing anyone as a full free lady, you know, making all the right decisions, getting all the support they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she did communicate. And she also communicated, like, there's bits where she's, like, riding the carriage that they've got, and then she's the one that, like, takes the reins and, like, flings it over the canyon. And also, the only reason Eric stops being interested in her, without her voice, is that he's hypnotized. She doesn't get passed over because she's an object. She gets passed over because someone's using her voice to catfish him.
Well, Well, it sort of sings actual wisps into his eyes, like little magic wisps fly into his eyes, and then he acts really weird when he's under the spell. He acts completely differently to when he does. Like, he has his agency taken away from him by Ursula.
The difficult bit, I think, is the ending, because obviously she just gets caught because she doesn't kiss Eric on time. Ursula's like dragging her down to the seabed, and she gets rescued by Eric. But then Eric gets mugged off himself, basically, because he is also like under the age of 20, I'm pretty sure, and he's just trying to help by trying to harpoon people, and it doesn't go to plan. And then they do have to work together to get out of that. It's not one-sided, and she's not as reliant on men.
Ariel is sat at the bottom of the ocean about to get zapped by Ursula, and it's Eric that stabs Ursula with the ship. Ariel does... In fact, does Ariel do anything at the wedding to challenge Ursula, or is it not all the animals?
Well, the animals come, yeah. The animals
under her command.
Because Scuttle's responding to her needs.
But
Chain of command.
Well, they operate as a community, and
yes,
their like involvement in helping her I don't think is removing agency from her. It's just helping her in ways that she needs, and that they can and want to give because they have formed this community.
This is actually very Marxist. It's a very Marxist film.
Well, the Disney company is very Marxist, so I can understand why.
Yeah, famously so.
Also, actually, I need to put on record that I absolutely love The Little Mermaid. I do.
No, but
and I know every word to every song. I'm just trying to like take myself out of that and be like subjective here and think about it in terms of the other 4 films as well. The other 3 films.
How would you respond to finding out the person you thought you were going to get married to in 3 days is actually getting married to someone who's got your soul and stole your voice? What would you do?
If you were Ariel, yeah, I would go down the stairs. Yeah, not even to make a scene, just to like stand there and be like, so, what's this?
Yeah. Because she's not even invited onto the boat for the wedding.
No, she's not.
So you'd make sure you were just like there, just like really in people's space so they couldn't forget that you were around. Like,
yeah, never leave human Ursula's side.
Hands in the air, doing Harlan, just all the space you can.
Yeah, just in between Ursula and just be like, whoa, playing goalkeeper.
I think realistically, someone wrote in with this problem, I'd just be like, move on.
That's true.
Really complicated.
What is it? Are they writing in including the magical element or not?
Just
no.
Like, I was sitting inside the house, they found me on the shore, and I woke up and there was some, kerfuffle downstairs, and I saw that he was now with his new fiancée, and I just be like, who is this guy? Like, what is it?
But then you can't take the magic out, because he obviously wouldn't have done that unless he was under the spell.
Yeah, but also this has been 3 days.
Yeah, that's quite a long time by Disney standards, isn't it?
This is a single evening.
No, Beauty and the Beast is ages. Beauty and the Beast is like a whole winter.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast is a whole winter. Mulan is a whole war. Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, to be fair, earlier Disney, yeah, they saw each other and that was it. They were getting married. So 3 days is long if you compare it to like Cinderella, like.
Yeah, like you said, it was kind of the first of it was like that was the one that kicked off like them being like really big again. Maybe it's not that unsurprising that it has elements that hark back to the golden age ones.
Yeah, and feminism was like, oh, that.
There's a whole like trans reading of it as well, because Ursula was going to be played by Divine.
Oh yeah.
And just that whole idea of like, oh, you're going to fall in love with me and you don't know that I have a tail.
Tentacles.
Tentacles.
Tail and tentacles.
Just like,
multiple.
Yeah, and just kind of like having to pass as a legged person. Because I think we watched a little show we love them because I came in at the last minute and had just seen Mulan.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously that is the storyline for the kind of like trans Disney experience.
Yeah, but I think that is the most queer Disney film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think, yeah, you could argue Frozen, I think, as well, but we're not talking about Frozen because I don't want to talk about Frozen, and none of us want to talk about Frozen.
No, I think Frozen sucks.
So do I, to be honest. So.
Stephen once told my dad that Frozen was the best film of the year, and my dad's never forgotten it and brings it up constantly.
I did not want to commit to that. Look, as an animator, I go see, with people from my work, we go see every single new animated film. I come out of every single cinema and I go, it's my new favorite film. I've done it for the last 10 years. So unfortunately, your dad just happened to meet me a week or something after I'd seen Frozen.
Yeah.
And I thought one song made an entire film, but obviously not.
I haven't seen this one today. Is there a big shame moment in Little Mermaid when she's like on the deck of the ship and then she gets turned into a mermaid again?
No, it's like hilariously shameless. She gets her into a mermaid again, and then she just like got one arm propping her up, and she sort of goes, whoops. Like she just puts one hand out, like whoop. And then Eric looks a bit like taken aback, but he doesn't look devastated.
Yeah.
The real shame moment is when her dad comes into her cavern of wonders and sees her like all over the statue of Eric that she's been keeping in there and talking to and like kissing.
That's a good point, though. The fact, Daddy, I love him. Like, I'm sure a lot of teenagers can, or just anyone can identify with their parents not liking their partner or not approving of their partner.
Mm-hmm.
And King Triton does not approve of Ariel's partner.
No.
Or indeed the entire species.
How do you react if you're Prince Eric and you discover Ariel is in fact a mermaid that you thought were fake mythical creatures?
Yeah, he was chill as fuck about it.
I think that's a nicer moment then, because there's a big reveal. Find out that she's not person, she's a mermaid. Mermaids are people too, I'm sure.
But what we've heard in the past is that they've been violent to the mer people.
Well, if you have ever seen The Little Mermaid 3, which I'm sure a lot of people have not seen,
I can't say I have, no.
It is revealed that humans killed Ariel's mum. Yeah, she was fishnetted out the water and killed. I don't know why they wouldn't have just mentioned that in the first film, because that gives a good context, and a deeper meaning to King Triton, where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I think it's probably, watching it now, even without that revelation, it's probably easier to see where Triton's coming from when it comes to climate stuff.
He's saying that as he's like choking on plastic.
Yeah.
But I feel like we haven't spoken enough about how great Ursula is.
We haven't, and
Very good character.
But she's awful.
She's not awful. She's really not.
She turns that skinny guy and that heavier woman into models, and then gives them only like a very short time period to fall in love, and then turns them into like shrubs or something.
They asked for it and agreed to it.
Well, then why could you just give it to them when it didn't have the time period?
Because nothing. You don't get anything for free, Adam.
Oh my god!
Sorry, I am like full team Ursula. She is a woman who knows what she wants. She goes for it. She does a lot more for herself than Ariel. It's true. It's true.
We're reliant on Ursula to do stuff for herself. But Harlan, you had a lot to say about the contract and like Ariel being a dum-dum as well. We were watching it.
Well, I think, yeah, but I mean, like you kept saying to me every time, I was like, that's fucking stupid. You're like, she is 16.
Scott's law, she wouldn't even be able to sign that contract.
I think she wouldn't be a minor anymore, so she would have capacity. but also the question always is, we know she can write her name. Why didn't she just write Erica No?
Who knows?
Maybe it was because it was the magic quill.
That's not a signature then. It's not a signature if the pen writes it for
There's
you.
a lot wrong with this contract, as we discussed.
That is the biggest mystery of movie history, seriously. Like,
it is interesting, because we watched, in a little show deal earlier on, there's a bit when Hercules has to make the deal to lose his strength. And there's always this thing where there's a kind of wicked sorceress in Disney. But the bad thing will only happen to you if you let it. If you give someone permission to treat you badly, that's the only time they can actually take you down, which I think is a good model.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree as well that you should read the terms and conditions before you sign your life away to Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
But I think is taking all the Disney villains and sorcerers really to heart.
I agree.
Hi, Mark. Hello to Mark's team. GCHQ.
If you don't want us to slap talk you, then why don't you just pay us? Official sponsor, Mark Zuckerberg.
And GCHQ.
Breaking up with the social contract.
Okay, well then I guess we're going to hand it over to Adam and Harlan to synopsize probably one of me and Steven's number 2 Disney films, and a film that they both think is a shiter.
Here we go.
That WhatsApp message mouse about 20 minutes ago was me sending the synopsis to Harlan. So how will we do it? Do you want to? We'll do paragraph each, because it's kind of in sections, so that might work.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you like the first paragraph, or do you want me to take it away?
I'll do the first one. It's I suppose a better check with Stephen. This is a 1991 film.
Yes.
There we go. You're right for this one. Yeah, directed by Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise. Beauty and the Beast is about a woman who likes to read, and that proves to be her biggest downfall. Adam wrote that line.
Yeah. So she jumps on a carriage while it's still moving. So she's a bit daring. Something bad happens to her dad, who is abducted by a big bear, who is also a guy. Oh, and it starts with a stained glass fairy tale, but a really conceited guy. To an ugly witch. And then curses him to go in Ireland.
So after the father is taken prisoner by Beast, Belle then goes to take her father's place, and he's released, and then at one point she goes on hunger strike. But fortunately there's some desperately servile but friendly crockery and furniture who sing to her and tell the Beast to act like a reasonable human being instead of a violent monster, which is advice he only partially takes on.
Getting back. He has enough. Takes off. Is attacked by wolves in the grounds.
In the ground?
On the ground. At this point, Stockholm Syndrome fully sets in. They have a date, and Belle warms to the Beast.
Meanwhile, the father tries to drum up help at the village, and at first he's kind of ridiculed for being crazy, but then Gaston takes it seriously as as he thinks this is how he's going to be able to get Belle as a wife.
Who's Gaston? You guys haven't introduced Gaston.
Oh, Gaston's just the big man that wants to marry Belle, and Belle doesn't.
No, there's a whole song about who Gaston is. He needs no introduction.
And yeah, so the dad tells everyone to rescue Belle from the beast, and Gaston just jumps on that bandwagon. So after getting the pitchfork wielding mob together,
Pitchfork. I think that's supposed to say. What's a pitchfork?
did I say pitchfork?
Yeah.
That's what you do to get the mob together.
After getting the pitchfork wielding mob together, they discover that the beast is real, and there's a battle. Gaston is defeated. I'll let you finish, Harlan.
Belle and the Beast fall in love to the degree required to break the curse. The handsome Beast becomes an average man.
Okay, well that was insane. That was insane and barely representative of the actual plot.
What was your biggest issue with that synopsis, Sissy? Mine was that the Beast turns into a handsome man.
No, they said average man.
Average
so you're
man.
Oh, I still have arguments with that. Like,
my biggest issue was the description of the beast as a bear who is partially a man.
I mean, that's what he is. If you've not seen this film, we want to take our listeners on a journey with us. Beast, oh, like a werewolf or something. He's just a bear.
He's more like a werewolf than a bear.
He's also a
He's
guy.
got dog's leg.
he has like a buffalo face.
Yeah, he's a dog-legged buffalo.
So we should have said, oh, he's a dog-like, buffalo-faced werewolf guy.
That would be more accurate.
Yeah, and he is also hot as fuck. I think we should just say that.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, it was lost in the live-action film, but Stephen and I still had the vivid memory of sexy cartoon beast in our minds. The live-action film was the biggest pile of garbage I've ever seen in my whole life.
We will not be talking about live-action films.
Adam and I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
It was a brutal viewing.
Oh.
Emma Watson.
Oh,
Such a horror to look at. Just like you don't. It hurts your eyes. There's so much like. It reminds me of. Do you remember that? What was it called? There was this like thing you could do with Google where you put in a picture and then it would just do this weird like computer log algorithm to it, and then think like it would have like more than one eye, and it would also have peacock feathers. It'd become really like horribly patterned. Everything kind of looked like that, and then like one of the Be Our Guest, like it just looks like an advert for like toilet cleaner. Like I'm sure.
Yeah, in the live action film, and I think Be Our Guest is the best song in that film.
There's that one about Gaston on it. Is there any other songs?
I love every song in that film.
What?
There is Belle. There is Belle's reprise when she's on the hill spinning around.
Yeah.
Gaston. Be Our Guest. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, the actual song.
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
There's something there that wasn't there before.
Something there. The Angry Mob song.
Yeah.
There's Hunters. Like.
I love Beauty and the Beast.
So do I.
Ahead of all this slagging off that's about to come from Adam and Harlan, who are describing "quote unquote" Stockholm syndrome.
Oh my god, us and like the rest of the world.
Never heard that before. What are you talking about? Like,
I wonder why that's such a common take.
Well,
I can see the Stockholm syndrome thing. I can see it, but I don't see it as Stockholm syndrome as much.
Because you
I see it as
Stockholm syndrome for this film. Kidnapped as a little baby.
I don't think it's a film. I think I also have Stockholm syndrome for Beast, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
To me, my parents always remind me that any time that film would be on as a kid, I would start crying when the Beast turned into the prince, because I'd be so heartbroken that the Beast had gone.
yeah,
And
womp womp.
this woman had appeared with ginger hair.
Which does not chime well with even child gay Stephen.
Not at all. It was like, where's the bear?
That feeling of just like that's just the least sexy animation ever. It was the contrast. I'm just being so disappointed.
Yeah, I think everybody.
Yeah.
But we can't deny, even though I love him, that the Beast has his problems. I think he's a pretty decent guy. But Harlan also pointed out something that I never would have thought of, which got a rebuke from Stephen via text. But Harlan, do you remember when we were watching it? And Beast went into the West Wing.
It's forbidden.
Well, the West. It's full of broken furniture and crockery, and he obviously went on that rampage after the spell. And considering literally every other piece of furniture and crockery in the building is like a sentient being, what's the deal with all this broken? Did he just like pick out every non-sentient bit of furniture and crockery that happened to be there and then move it into the West Wing and destroy it all?
Whilst in a blind rage.
Or did he murder loads of people in the West Wing while they were crockery, is what Harlan asked. But when we watched it, Harlan went, so that's all just his staff that he's just killed?
How much staff can a castle have? I'm sure not every single object is a person.
Stephen,
it's a huge castle, and
all the forks and spoons are people.
Yeah.
So are the big like German beer steins as well.
Yeah, you see it in Be Our Guest that everything in the castle is a person, and then that happens as well in the battle. So is the West Wing forbidden because it's full of corpses?
or even worse, is the West Wing forbidden because even before the spell, Beast was killing the staff in there.
Yeah, they all just get turned into broken. Oh,
he was like, thank God. This is the one
a sadistic.
I thought that as well when you were saying it, because there's the battle at the end. You could have just been like, oh no, look at all the people who died in the battle.
Yeah, do you think when the spell was broken, they went into his room, it was just dead bodies everywhere?
Clumps of scalp.
It was a rough battle.
If they hadn't just been rude to that ugly witch.
Okay, but can we put this in context? I mentioned this to Izzy. See, when you think about this, they say in Be Our Guest, 10 years we've been rusting, and the Beast's curse breaks on his 21st birthday. He was an 11-year-old child when that witch put that curse on him. What witch puts a curse on an 11-year-old? Spoiler or not, 11 years old.
And if we're holding Ariel accountable as a 16-year-old.
Like, no wonder he has anger management issues. What terrible teenage years. Like.
Yeah, and also, Harlan, you said in the car.
What was it? You might have to
You
remind
need to write things down, and this is why I said don't talk to me about it in the car. Talk to me about it live on air. You were talking about the messages about beauty that come with this film.
Oh right, it's kind of a weird one because the witch appears ugly, and that's apparently at least part of the reason why he wasn't willing to let her in. But then she turns into a beautiful witch, and there's just kind of like a weird thing where it's like, I don't know, it's like performative ugliness.
I see what you're saying, but I mean the main take they're trying to portray in the film is that looks can be deceiving. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like the major theme. Like Gaston is the attractive man but disgusting personality, and the Beast is the animal but the lovely personality. You know.
Does Shrek correct the messages of this film?
Well, could you argue that Lord Farquaad is the beautiful prince?
A very small version of the beautiful prince. But Prince Charming! We're talking about Shrek 2 as well.
Oh, of course we're talking about. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I think the whole thing with Fiona wanting to get turned into like a beautiful human being and then taking true love's form in the form of an ogre is really nice, actually, in the end.
Yeah.
I think it's more meaningful. And what I was going to say about that witch was that it would have been better if she stayed ugly and was just like, look, the lesson here isn't that you should have been nice to me because I was pretty. The lesson is that you shouldn't treat old haggard women like shit. Even if you are an 11-year-old boy.
Oh yeah, no, I am not defending his actions at all. I'm just saying the level of like punishment that was given was extreme. Like also all those other people, their families turned into spoons because this 11-year-old boy.
Yeah, that's the harshest thing.
Yeah.
Is that they just get dragged along with it.
So really, it's an old crone that looks like a beautiful woman that's an evil witch.
Oh yeah. They punishes an entire castle full of people.
Yeah. So Beauty and the Beast 2 could be tracking her down and murdering her.
She's in that room. She's in the West Wing.
Yeah.
11-year-old Beast just snapped her in half.
What have you done?
But I think the breakup in that is a really unique breakup in the land of Disney because it like could or couldn't be a breakup. When we were watching it just a minute ago, the Beast kind of sets Belle free from having to be his prisoner / hostage, who is also in love with him, because she's actually been having a really great time in the palace, like not thinking about her dad. So I always thought, one of the things I always thought was really nice about this film was when the Beast is like, this whole library could be yours. It's yours now. You go in, you enjoy the whole thing. I know you love to read. I know that's like your whole like gig.
Except he isn't the first one to introduce us to the library. The staff already travel to the library. Also, like, it's not his library, it's a library he's inherited. It's not really a gift. It's just like, here's a room that you were already told about that I'm telling you as if it's me giving you a gift of this room that is mine. No, it's not. Because
But she hadn't seen it yet.
She's allowed to go in it. She's already been told she's allowed to go in there, and then he's like, look, a room I already have.
I think that's one of the big things that for me that like really breaks down the like romance in it is that it's like is that the servant's kindness towards Belle is read as the Beast's kindness towards Belle.
Yeah, and then that's what's kind of really fucked up about when he's like, he lets her see her dad in the mirror that can see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees her dad, and her dad's like struggling around in the snow looking for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Beast's like, I'm gonna let you go. You can go and be with your dad. And she reads that as like a big, huge kindness. And then he touches her hair, and it's really nice. And just the way he touches her hair is just so lovely. And then she's like, I'm gonna go see my dad. Thank you for noticing me.
That's another gift that is like, it's a gift that isn't a gift, because it's like he's just giving her back something that she already had, which was her personal freedom and access to her family. And giving her that back isn't a gift, but it is read as a gift.
Had the bear kidnapped other women?
Okay, look, I don't think so. I don't think he had kidnapped other women. We have nothing to say that he did.
Where was that?
There's no proof, there's no evidence, there's no receipts.
Did he bring that golden dress?
Maybe it was his mum.
I don't know, maybe it was his mum's.
Why isn't the dress sentient?
Well, there are things that aren't sentient in the castle, but I mean, you guys see this so different to me. Look, I can see the Stockholm Syndrome point, but I'm not going to acknowledge it. Because when I watch this film, I see two people who initially are super irritated by each other. They don't like each other. And slowly, they build a friendship. Before romance is even spoken about, there's a friendship built there. There's respect built there. I think this is the first Disney film in terms of romance where friendship is built before love.
And also what I really like about Belle is how much she challenges the Beast, how selfless she is, how much she really knows herself, how she's like, in the beginning when she's telling Gaston to fuck off because Gaston comes to propose to her, and she just like boosts him out the flat, lets him fall in the mud, doesn't care. Like, she goes to the Beast, she finds out that her dad's been kept prisoner, and she's like, I'll take his place, I love my dad. She's much more self-sacrificing. She's much more, I don't know, she just, and then when she sees the Beast, she's like, you come into the light. She's just telling him what's going on. She goes on hunger strike. She forces his behaviour to change. But then that, I guess that also doesn't necessarily make for a happy romance.
But
forcing
no,
behaviour
no,
to change.
This is why it's so dangerous, because the film totally rewards Belle as a woman who comes into contact with the most toxically masculine being in cinema.
Gaston.
She
Yes,
she literally magically changes him by loving him really hard.
I'm sorry, no, Gaston is the most toxic masculine. Gaston is the spice boy. Like, he...
I think they both manifest toxic masculinity, but in different ways.
Yes.
And your reading on Gaston's like, I agree completely on that. But like the Beast also is like that incredibly fragile masculinity. Doesn't take much for him, and he's like lit up, and he's like his temper flares, and he's destroying things, and he's shouting.
He's basically an emo boy and a
oh,
shock boy.
Yeah, okay, but I'm gonna give more context here. Beast is 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
When he was 11, he was turned into a beast. He was responsible for all his staff getting turned into objects. He had his teenage years in isolation. The only way for him to turn back into a human and to save all his staff is for him to fall in love. He is so insecure. I just think these are things you need to think about before you start judging the Beast. Leave him alone.
I think what he does when he's like, Belle, like, this is finished, I do really love you, so you can, like, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to be a horrible guy, like, everything has actually really changed me because I was kind of a twat before. And like, I agree that it's not ideal that women should be going into relationships hoping to change the men they're with, and I agree that that's not great, but we all have to concede that she did. She did nag him until he was a better man.
It's true, but I think he already was that man. He'd just been so long by himself that it sort of been lost. Also, with the curse, there was almost like there's like a pressure on him and her, even at the beginning, when she finds out what the curse is. There's like a pressure for him to be like, it has to be her. I have to be with her, which causes even more sort of anxiety for him and things.
Well, that's why it's so meaningful when he's like, she can go. But then on the other side of that, what's maybe less great is that him saying she can go means that all of these people don't get to be human again.
Yeah.
Also, again, that evil witch, the idea that she would make this like huge bear guy that has to like make a woman fall in love with him, like, it's really disturbing when you think about it. It's like, oh yeah, like, because it's not going to be like, oh, I made it impossible, but it's like you have to like trick some woman and like, yeah, get them to.
Yeah, it's not much of a lesson, more just a horror scenario that the witch constructed.
Yeah. It'd be such a good horror film.
It kind of is a horror film. And there's also a French porn version of it that I used to watch a lot as a teen. And it's on X Hamster, I'm pretty sure, called La Bête.
Is it
it's not cartoon, is it?
No, it's like a real human thing. And it's really nice. It's actually really nicely shot. Harlan, stop laughing at me.
It's a real human thing. With real human actors.
Is it with a bear man?
Because there's like one dream sequence where a guy's dressed up as a beast and it's whatever. This is getting cut. But I think Beast does prove that he is committed to Belle. He is a big emo boy. He's got a lot of feelings.
I do think like he is on the way to improving. I just don't think that their romance is good. And I think that like the two of them could come out of it in a very, very positive way. But like I think, yeah, I just don't think that as a relationship it's built on like because you're right with like how young he was when the curse was put on him and all that sort of thing, and he's lacking that socialization that he's going to need. But like none of this is a good foundation for a relationship.
Yeah. I don't think we should show children Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it just lays like the groundwork for really unhealthy relationship.
But to be honest, I think most people when they watch it as kids, they don't so much take the romance part of it as they don't think Stockholm syndrome as a child. You know, when I was a kid, I more thought like how cool Bill was based on just personality, you know.
Yeah,
and that glamorizes it.
But I also thought Belle was like really cool as fuck. I thought as a brunette then, I'm blonde now and I have more fun. As a brunette then who read a lot and just thought that was like cool. Also like turning men down when you're a child, like when you're a child who I think like as like every other child really wants some sort of mad romance to happen to them. The ability to turn a man down was also like shit hot as a quality and like as a thing that she did. And then she sees that her like kind of mental dad is in a bad state, goes and helps him out, also pretty cool, stands up to the person who's held her captive all the time, consistently, to the point where like she's now in control of his behavior in a lot of ways. Like she's doing a lot. She's really reversing a situation that she was forced into and that she became part of because of her own sense of autonomy and selfhood. And I know you both think that her whole personality is built on the fact that she reads, but I am happy that that's the case because there are a lot of people who fucking don't read and should read more because their personality is lacking.
Everyone in that village must read because not only does that village have a bookshop, but Belle doesn't even buy the books in there. She just borrows them. The only way that that bookshop could stay in business is that everyone else in the village is buying books. They're all literate. They all read. Just because they're not like singing songs about how everyone else is provincial and their life is shit doesn't mean that they're...
Provincial is just a reference to where they are. She is literally just saying how the day goes. You cannot deny that bakers wake up and do the same thing most days. She's not making a moral judgment. She's just expressing that what she wants is more, and she doesn't necessarily want to fit within these stereotypical, very typical, oppressive regimes. She wants a more radical life, and that's what she gets.
And the song Belle, she's not dissing them or putting them down. She's just making the observation that this is normal life for these people, but this is not something that I want.
Yeah. And is that something she should be condemned for? No. Is getting held
Absolutely
hostage by a beast person something she should be condemned for? No. Is making him a nicer person something she should be condemned for? No. Is coming back to save his life something she should be condemned for? No.
And yet, she's condemned to the beast.
She chose that.
Their relationship extremely difficult. Forever, because you don't get therapy in Disney unless you do it as part of the magic spell that you're not a beast anymore and you're not going to be like psychologically affected by any of this horrible shit that's happened since you've been 10. You're going to be like the perfect partner now, and that is maybe a plot hole that I would like to flag. Desperately risky to have children watch.
I'm a bit split over like whether it is damaging to watch. I don't know. It's sort of I think like as well, and Stephen was saying, like, you hear it a lot when you say like, oh, kids will like any old thing. You know, you can like churn out crap and kids will watch it. I don't think it's that kids will just accept any crap. I think kids do a lot of the work themselves. They like you were saying, you know, a child isn't watching and like, oh, this is Stockholm syndrome. They might if they knew about Stockholm syndrome, but they usually will not and have the kind of context to make that kind of conclusion, and they will often draw out the positive elements, but the negative elements are all still there.
Like the negative elements are there. They're kind of like glazed over and then super glamorized. Because they just like give you this like well-rounded woman character, and then like they just like pull her through the ringer, and she just is so like so immediately devoted to this horrible thing.
She's not immediately devoted. She stands up to him constantly. They have a really tumultuous relationship in the beginning, and then she gets what she wanted, which was adventure in the Great White Somewhere. And that's all I care.
Great White Somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that song now.
I wanted more than I can tell.
And I get that it's bad, and I get that it's good, but I fundamentally think that it's the right choice for Beast to say that like she's free to go. I think we can all say it's cool to like not keep people prisoner.
Better than not doing it, yes.
Exactly. And I think it's cool that Bella's the woman that she is, and she pulls us through the movie the way she does.
She does, and it's the hardest thing to say. The person you love, you need to let go for the best thing for them.
So good messages all.
Well, I already made the point at the beginning that Mulan is the best Disney princess character, hands down. So here's the synopsis. Okay, so it's a 1998 film directed by Tony Bancroft and Barry Cook. The film is based on the Chinese legend of Hua Mulan and set in ancient China. So, fearful that her ailing father will be drafted into the Chinese military, Mulan, in order to save his life, takes his place, masquerading as a man. At first, Mulan, now disguised as a young man called Ping, is not much of a soldier, but she gradually learns how to become a warrior under the leadership of the very lovely, the very attractive, the very incredible Captain Li Shang. Pause for effect. Over the course of training, Mulan and Shang develop respect and a friendship. When called the front line, a group of soldiers are ambushed by the enemy Han army and their leader Shan Yu. Thinking strategically, Mulan uses a cannon to cause an avalanche which buries the Han army in the snow. However, during the attack, Mulan is injured, and when a doctor examines her, he finds that she is a woman and reveals her identity to her fellow soldiers. Chinese law dictates that Shang should kill Mulan for her deception, but he's too impressed by her bravery and simply banishes her from the army, leaving her alone on the mountain. Upon discovering the Han leader survived the avalanche, she travels to the imperial city to warn Shang. But as a woman, no one will listen to her now, and the Huns capture the imperial palace, taking the emperor prisoner. After confronting Shan Yu, Mulan engages him in hand-to-hand combat, ending in Shan Yu's death. Mulan is a hero of China. She's offered a position in the emperor's council, but she politely turns it down, requesting instead that she is allowed to return home to her family. When she arrives home, Li Shang arrives, ostensibly to return her helmet, but clearly with the intention just to see her again. Mulan family invites him to stay for dinner, which he readily accepts. And that is Mulan.
I bloody love Mulan. I think Mulan's an excellent film. I want to get out ahead of any naysaying. I think Mulan is a fantastic film. I think it's the most beautifully shot of the films that and beautifully animated of the films that we've watched. I think the bit with the black eyeliner and the lipstick is iconic, but I also think that battle scene with the avalanche is phenomenal. It is thrilling to watch. It was thrilling for us to watch like an hour ago.
I think it's got the strongest ending out of the four that we're talking about as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you bring up the points of the lipstick and things. There are so many moments in Mulan that are just so visually pleasing.
Yeah, it's like visual ASMR, like it's mad. That little part of your brain
completely. The lipstick, the shampoo, the porridge with the smiley face, the smoke and the candle. Yeah.
Oof. But I think so much of what's great about the second half of the film, well, not even the second half, the second 2/3 of the film, where Mulan becomes Ping, a male soldier, and like takes her father's place, is that the beginning of the film is so grounded in how much she hates being in a female body, how dissonant she feels from that, and how dissonant she feels from a culture that's like totally predicated on your worth as far as like your sort of ability to please men as an object.
And rear boy children.
Yeah, and she's even told that she wouldn't even be good at that. Like, she goes to the matchmaker, which is why she has to get like the eyeliner, the lipstick, the shampoo, the beautiful dress, the full like powdered makeup and everything. And the matchmaker is like, she's too skinny to raise children. She's a dishonor to her family because she's so badly behaved. She's so clumsy. She's so tactless. Like, she doesn't have the chops, basically. And I just think it's really fucking cool that she gets decked out as a soldier to go and take her dad's place after singing a song about how much like she doesn't relate to her own female body and like the life she has to live as a woman, and takes this like, yeah, this whole mantle on to be the representative, the male representative for her family.
And it will even take away the fact that she doesn't feel comfortable in her body, the fact that she's willing to do this for her father.
But the question is, how real is the romance?
I mean, we touched on this in Beauty and the Beast, that there was a friendship built, but it's not as much. In Mulan, this mutual respect, camaraderie, friendship, you can see it really clearly here, that it is built. There's so many shots of Shang and Ping, Mulan, where the respect is there and they trust each other.
And I do think there's a moment where sexual tension is definitely like flagged the first time when Shang gets beaten up by Mulan as Ping and loves it and touches his chin and then smiles like quite a sort of, I don't know, seduced way, some people might say. But he loves it. He loves getting beaten up by him.
Well, a really nice thing as well is, I think I noticed this maybe for the first time watching it the other day. I think this is the first Disney film or princess film where Mulan's sexual attraction is shown. The woman's sexual attraction is shown, because when Shang takes his shirt off, she pokes her head out and she's staring at him and her eyes widen, and you can see her jaw almost drops, and that's really, but that is really nice to see that representation there as the woman seeing Shang, not just the woman being the object of the man's affections, which in most cartoons it was.
But do you think that is only there because Mulan in so many other ways is like kind of a bit like, you know, she's not being feminine, like, so there's this risk that you might, as a viewer, suspect that she might be a lesbian, so like they have to really like dig hard in with this thing of like, oh, she's like drooling over this man, because that's how they kind of like reinscribe her femininity against all the other context.
There is other things, like despite the risk of discovery, she's adamant that she's going to bathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but there are other instances where, as you say, like the femininity is reinscribed.
And I also just don't think that you have to be a lesbian to want to be butch as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I think saying that she's not a lesbian, she's not allowed to be a lesbian, kind of denies that like genderqueer version of people that can be female and attracted, like biologically female and attracted to men.
I think in the context of, like you say, that in most other films where they have the kind of like feminine princess, they don't feel like they need to add in that element of her having a sexuality, because in those films it would be inappropriate. But because I have it against the stakes of like, this person is already like kind of subverting gender expectations, so we're going to have to do this anyway, like, because it's like the lesser of two evils. So like, she doesn't get to be chaste and like unsexual because she's already so mannish that they have to like put in this really like hypersexuality to cancel that out.
Well, like Ariel had the sex doll of Eric, but she was like preening and lying on and like and doing that whole thing and like holding onto his waist, like draping herself over his statue body. Like, I don't think it's like fair to say that Mulan is the only person that ever ogles someone. Admittedly, Beauty is not ogling Beast, apart from to be like, oh right, he didn't squash that bird in his hand when he was feeding it. That's nice. Yeah, I think Ariel does have obvious sexual, like physical sexual interest in Eric.
Yeah, he doesn't see her until after she's seen him because he's unconscious. When she's carried him ashore, she calls him beautiful and touches his hair. It's after that the Eric doesn't even really properly see her, only hears her voice.
I think it's also just about what Disney were trying to do with Mulan. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were purposely trying to do a princess film. I know she's not technically a princess, but she's in the official princess lineup. So where, you know, they were trying to move away from their past controversies, which were getting spoken about in terms of feminism and things, like, because what was seen as the perfect Disney princess before was a passive character who represented virginity, you know, perfection. There wasn't much going. And yes, you can say Ariel ogled Eric's statue, but I'm still going to argue that Ariel was still quite passive.
But I also think that Mulan is super important in just like letting girls know, as a girl, as the only girl here, I can completely confirm, speaking for my little sister as well, that Mulan represented like an exciting, action sort of focused, driven, like caring, and I guess like, I don't know, I just think she's so much beyond within this like tomboy spectrum that my sister and I have spoken a lot about in the past, but just like lacking to the point where we love films like Charlie's Angels, which obviously has like hugely misogynistic overtones, but and like Lara Croft and like all that kind of thing, just because we got to see a woman being like very physical in those moments where she was very physical, not really caring about how she looked, like doing things that men do, having plot lines that men have. And I think it's really meaningful to present that for children. I don't think like making girls feel like they can also be attracted to men and find men attractive, or like enjoy ogling a man within that parcel of wanting to be more like a boy or have the same like rights and abilities that men have. Like, I just don't think that's a fair binary to put Mulan in.
This is also the first Disney princess film that the romance was not the plot point.
Yeah.
It was not, the romance was just something that happened. Yeah. And that's even highlighted by the end, where there is no happily ever after. It literally is Mulan saying, "Do you want to stay for dinner?" That is literally it. Like, do you want to come in for dinner? I'm trying to think of the one before. Pocahontas. Even Pocahontas, yes, obviously they broke up at the end because he had to go back to England. But the whole plot point of that film was their romance. Yeah. But Mulan's plot point is her courage in saving China and being there for her family and bringing her family honor. And the romance is just a secondary part of that film.
It basically, like, most of the romance kind of happens after the film.
Exactly.
Like, which is what I think is like really like one of the strongest endings. Is like that like, yeah, do you want to stay for dinner is like such a strong way to end the film.
Would you like to stay forever?
Sorry.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Stephen's the voice of Mulan's granny in all aspects of this podcast. But then getting to the actual like breakup moment, or like the pseudo breakup moment, where Shang has been like having a bit of a, I would say, Mulan/Ping was absolutely into Shang, like undeniably into Shang. Shang clearly had like a lot more feeling for Ping than for any other person in his...
The other soldiers, yeah, of course.
There was a lot of moments where I felt there could definitely be something. Shang finds out that Ping is actually Mulan when Mulan kind of gets like outed wearing her binder and like thrown out in the snow, and it's all like really horrible and hard to watch.
Picture a snake.
In terms of a breakup, from Shang's perspective, can you understand why he'd be upset? He thought he had a boyfriend and now he's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, it must be such a huge internal shock for him. Like, because there would be so much confusion there. And obviously also the societal pressure that, you know, so yeah, there'd be an absolute pressure there. So there must be absolute confusion in his mind. And I can see why he pushed her away initially, because probably he had to process a lot of things.
I suspect that, yeah, like gender like mechanics and the nuance of it might be slightly surprising, I think. Because I think Mulan definitely is like an extremely westernized vision. Yeah, like ancient China. So yeah, I'm tempted to. I want to know more about that. I think you're kind of the same of like, how true to life is this?
Your point of the Chinese mythology, that could be said about every Disney film. I mean, the most problematic, Pocahontas, like Pocahontas is a mess. At the end of The Little Mermaid, she turns into sea foam. Sleeping Beauty is abused while she's sleeping. There's a lot of things Disney change, but so I think that point can be replied to every film. Hunchback of Notre Dame, Esmeralda dies,
Hunchback of Notre Dame is fucking hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah.
But
we've really gone hard on kind of save Disney films today.
Yeah.
From
valid critique.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's why Mulan can stand the test of time compared to the other ones. I mean, look at all the issues we found with the other films. I still have yet to see someone make a really negative point about Mulan in terms of
apart from Adam's point about her not being allowed to seem like a lesbian.
I need to watch Mulan, I'll admit. I watched a good like 5 to 10 minutes of it today.
That's all you watched? I thought you watched the whole film.
No, all of them I've just watched like a kind of little bite-sized chunks version. I feel like Mulan, I will need to watch before I assent to its quality in any way, and maybe find out about the kind of the different producers and directors of it before I really sling my weight behind it. But potentially it does, like, I think some of the points of it, like the fact that it doesn't end with a perfectly requited romance is good. And I mean, maybe you know more about it, just because it is such a it really goes hard on like Chinese culture, and it's like, who is making this? Like, who are the voice actors? All that, like, I need to know all that.
Donny Osmond voiced the singing voice of Li Shang, which shout out, "I'll Make a Man Out of You" is potentially the best Disney song ever, and is
Jackie Chan sang Mandarin and Cantonese versions.
Jackie Chan is the voice of Li Shang in the Cantonese
Mandarin and Cantonese.
Well, that's good to find out. I did have some. I was on edge.
I think that like a lot of the supporting cast actually isn't Chinese, is what I've just found out from a Google search. But the key cast is. But Harlan actually looked up something earlier because we were watching Little Mermaid in my flat, and Harlan was like, I really need to check whether or not Sebastian is actually like a black person and not just
he is
black boy.
When a 1989 Disney movie can manage to not have a white person doing black voice, nobody else has an excuse.
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons is rotten for it.
I just discovered recently there's two characters in The Simpsons, Carl and Dr. Hibbert, and I think both are voiced by Hank Azaria.
Yeah, and Hank Azaria voices Apu and all that.
Well, not anymore, but yeah.
So rough.
Especially because Matt Groening really doubled down on it.
Yeah, because there's that horrible moment with Lisa saying to her mum, like, oh, I think that's actually really fucked up. And then what did Marge say? She was like, well.
It's actually, what happens is they use Lisa as a mouthpiece to like silence people's valid critiques of some of the
which is even worse because she isn't the best Simpsons character. So like
it was such a betrayal to so many people because they weaponize Lisa of all of the characters, and I think basically she's going to bed and then she says something along the lines of, well, some people just love being outraged and they just do it for the sake of it. And then I think she goes to bed and then she has a kind of like framed picture of Apu on her bedside. She looks over.
Oh my god, no, I have not seen this. Yeah, weaponize Homer and Bart all you want, but leave Marge and Lisa out of it.
Yeah.
No, Bart has leave Bart alone as well. Bart gets a really rough time.
Bart is the worst Simpson.
Excuse me? Did you say Bart is the worst Simpson?
Out of the 5 of them, Bart is the worst Simpson.
Homer is the worst Simpson.
Guys, Maggie doesn't say anything.
And that's better than some of the stuff Homer does to Marge.
Fair enough.
Bart is so annoying.
Here comes the Simpsons episode.
We're totally digressing here. We've gone from Disney to...
Cut this whole bit out and put it in the Simpsons episode that's in it.
As the
To be fair,
have it like you have echoey voices, and it's like compared to what Homer does to Marge.
You did previously on the Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
to be fair, a Simpsons episode would not be bad. Season 1 to 10 of The Simpsons, that would be beautiful.
Interesting breakups in there as well.
Yeah. I love the breakup I like the most is when Bart gets his heart ripped out by the babysitter.
My favourite is when Milhouse's dad makes a cassette with the country singer and then she throws it out the car. And it's called something like, was it Your Love is the Glove?
Wait, Lurley Lumpkin?
Yeah! Oh, yeah.
Gonna bag me, Homer.
Oh yeah, so I rate Mulan. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Li Shang and Mulan's relationship is like good if very quiet.
I think it's quiet, and it's with all the societal pressure and stuff on, I'm sure what Li Shang's thinking, it seems like a healthy amount of time for a relationship to develop compared to some of the other Disney relationships.
That's true.
And also it's a relationship that develops based on trust, and genuine trust, that is trust of your life. They both trust each other with their lives, as evidenced with Mulan saving Shang's life, and Shang saving Mulan's life when he finds out she's a woman and doesn't kill her. Yeah, I just think that's obviously the whole thing's based on a lie, but but like it's a good base to go from if you're going to start a romantic relationship.
And yeah, she's so fucked up about proving her worth.
Nobody's deceiving anyone with like any malice at all in that.
No, yeah, there's no malice there at all. It's not like it's not like Aladdin where he is on purpose lying to Jasmine. But yeah, also the pressure of Mulan, it's all for her. It's all about bringing honor to her family and saving her father's life. It's just such a nice message. It's just such a good film. It is such a lovely film.
Seems like it has a lot of, from the 10 minutes I've watched, the choice 10 minutes that Isabella presented to me. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of like big notes of empowerment. I think there might be some like weird stereotype stuff and like issues of representation, but that's why I am excited to see, because I was asking immediately, I was like, where's the live action when I want to see this? I want to see what has happened, because it feels like there's some nuggets of like quality and like good, that maybe it would be okay for some children to watch this film.
I think it would be.
And I want to see how that's been taken on in like 2020.
And apparently in the live version there's no romantic story.
Li Shang's not in it. He's not a character. And my issue, in fact, no, I'm excited to watch it based on, I think visually it'll be great. I am disappointed that there's no songs.
Yeah, me too.
I'll admit, because
there's only one song in this though.
What?
No, there's four songs.
There's a song?
No, yeah, there is that one.
There are lots of songs. There's a Matchmaker song. There's
Reflection. I'll make a man out of you.
Reflection. I'll make a man out of you.
A Girl Worth Fighting For, amazing song.
Yes, we watched.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I really only one song that made an impression then, clearly.
Which was I'll Make a Man Out of You?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Like, when you mentioned the other ones, I was like, oh yeah, of course.
I don't quite remember those. I don't watch the film, but Stephen, I'm on your side that I do not like modern anti-musical sentiment that happens in films a lot, which is like they take the songs out.
What is wrong with musicals? Seriously, people hate them now.
Right with musicals. And
but honestly, like, I mean, I understand Disney are trying to do something different, but see when they were sitting in that boardroom, like, what do people not like about Mulan? who said the songs? Like,
we just make it
no,
less fun. We just take out all the musical elements. So we just put more people speaking in normal, everyday voices.
Yeah, but then also opposite. I'm gonna give them credit for that because I've disliked the live action remakes that have been replicas of the original films. So maybe it would be nice to see this story completely different and another take. Did you see The Lion King?
No, but I heard that The Lion King was so bad because it was the most boring version of a shot-for-shot remake because...
Yeah, I've seen it. It's
You've
really
seen it?
boring.
Shot-for-shot remake, but 10 times worse. It was just so boring.
Like the color palette's just awful. Everything looks like it's just like really grainy looking.
I remember going to see it. I think I was on a date and they turned to me like, and they weren't a big Disney fans. They were like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that." And I was like, I didn't smile once. I didn't laugh once. I didn't cry. I went to The Lion King and I didn't cry. That's a red flag.
That is a red flag. You should be
instantly.
sobbing classes down.
Exactly. There should be tears there. There was nothing.
But I do really want to see the Mulan live action.
Me too. Well, all you have to do is spend $29.99 for Disney Plus, and you too can.
Oh, can you get it now?
No. So pretty much what they've done, Adam, is if you already pay for a Disney Plus account, you can spend the whole small amount of $29.99 to also watch live action Mulan.
No, thank you.
Adam doesn't understand this because Adam's loaded.
I just really want to see Mulan, and I just thought it would be a fun thing for us to do tonight.
It's not out yet. It's out at the end of the month, I think, or in September or something.
This has been in one moment.
Like, Adam, see if you buy it. Can we all come and watch it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Let's have like a movie night.
Obviously, there's a lot of Chinese versions of Mulan that have made it.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Disney has done a lot more research in terms of representation and the actual mythology of Mulan.
Well, let's fucking find out. Disney Plus or Disney Plus Premium. Coming out,
Adam.
We're all going to get the one account.
He'll be raging in this cryogenic frozen chamber.
Yeah.
Invent a Disney film about Walt Disney waking up from his cryogenic.
But it's already a Walt Disney film. It's about how great Walt Disney is, and it's called Saving Mr. Banks. And that
was a good film.
It is a good film, but I realised that whenever Tom Hanks is in a film, it's kind of about propagandising that figure. Even though I think Mr. Rogers did deserve to be propagandised, I loved A Beautiful Day in the Neighbourhood, and I think everyone should watch it. But also,
I've not seen it.
We watched it this week.
We watched it this week. Yeah, it was a really good film, like fundamentally a really good film. But I think we should wrap up on Mulan and right along to Hercules.
Mulan, strong elements, some issues with representation. Looking forward to the live action film to see how it all goes in 2020.
Woo! Okay, we're gonna synopsize Hercules now. And
honey, you mean Huncules.
I mean Huncules, you're totally right. Adam and Harlan are totally off synopsis duty after their Beauty and the Beast performance. But Hercules is a 1997 film by Ron Clements and John Musker, the directors of Little Mermaid, and it's very loosely based on the Greek myth of the 12 Trials of Hercules, in a big fun jamboree of postmodernism. So Hercules is a little dork boy whose strength becomes antisocial when he's young, but his heart is massive. When he finds out his father is Zeus, he goes on a quest to prove himself worthy of a place on Mount Olympus as a god. But first, he has to get trained by the satyr Phil in an amazing Rocky-style montage. He falls in love with Megara, the most femme fatale of the Disney love interests, the first damsel Hercules rescues, and my old dog Maggie's namesake. Mm-hmm. But she's actually been contracted by Hades, Lord of the Underworld, to trick Hercules into falling in love with her and making himself vulnerable. She's in this contract because her ex-lover sold his soul to Hades, so she offered hers in exchange, But when she saved his soul, he ran out on her and left her heartbroken and essentially sold into slavery with Hades. Hercules gets through the trials and wins Meg's heart, but when Phil finds out that Meg's working for Hades and tells Hercules, Hercules doesn't believe him and accuses him of lying, cuts ties, and then Hades shows up and offers an exchange for Hercules. Hercules has to lose his powers for a day, and as a swap for Meg's soul on the condition that Meg is not harmed. Hercules accepts, and his heart breaks really fucking hard when Phil is proven right. Meg doesn't really have anything to say when Hades points out that Meg has been working for him the whole time, and it's awful. So Hades begins his whole gambit to take over Mount Olympus and become king of the gods. He releases the Titans so that they can hold the other gods hostage, but specifically sends the Cyclops to kill Hercules. Hercules defeats the Cyclops without his powers, but Meg is killed when she pushes him clear of a falling pillar after the fight, which breaks Hades' promise because Meg is now harmed and allows Hercules to regain his strength, as well as beat the Titans and ultimately rescue Meg's soul from the underworld. Zeus lets Hercules know that he's ready to become a god and welcomes him to Mount Olympus, but Hercules declines so he can stay on Earth with Meg.
Beautiful. Where do we start?
When Meg dies, he gets his strength back.
Oh, such a good film. Right, look, listen.
Listen.
I think Hercules has now superseded Beauty and the Beast for me. And it's now Hercules and the Little Mermaid at the top.
Ooh.
Which could be controversial as a long time. I'm blonde now, so like, who cares about Belle? Who cares about the brunettes apart from Meg? Stephen's eyes are so wide and I'm so frightened.
Hercules is a lot of fun. Danny DeVito's in it.
Danny DeVito,
Comedy
as
chops.
Harlan knows very well from an early text exchange when Harlan and I weren't quite seeing each other yet and I was in Dublin by myself. I was very, very drunk on Manhattans in the no-name bar in Dublin, and I was texting Harlan about how much I love Phil from Hercules and how it always makes me cry when Phil says, like painting a masterpiece, it's a work of art.
Started crying in the bar.
I started crying in the bar. I just think it's a great, very tightly crafted, character-driven film. Because the trials of Hercules are barely part of it.
It's top 3 Disney films, hands down, 100%. It's just a genius film with everything. The visuals, the very like 90s visuals that go along with it. The characters, that I just think it's genius that the composers thought, we're doing a film about Greek gods. I know gods. Let's do a gospel soundtrack. Like, that's genius. Yeah. And they came up with probably some of the best Disney songs ever. Zero to Hero is a tune.
It's such a tune. I love Zero to Hero, but the real best song in that film is I Won't Say I'm in Love.
Amazing. But then so is Gospel Truth. They're all just great. Go the distance.
But do you know who studies classics at a master's level and may have some things to say about the Hercules? It's Harlan McGlinchey.
It's got so little to do with classics. It's not really. I mean, go, well, actually, it should be Hercules. Is like such a pointless thing to say.
Wait, who?
Hercules is kind of is what is usually seen as like the most accurate pronunciation of the name.
Oh, so honey, you mean Heracles?
Should we just call it Huncules going forward so that everyone's right?
Yeah, so Huncules, like.
You had different problems with the film.
None of it really just. I don't know. None of it really chimes with me. But I guess like individually, I can see bits like there's like very, very Looney Tunes moments, and there's the sequence with the Hydra. Everything's dyed red and everything's all quite stylish. There's bits I'm like, yeah, I can see like But like as a whole, it doesn't do an awful lot for me.
Do you
I'm
not think
afraid.
Meg is a compelling female character? I think this also is the film with the most actual breakup content.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, there is an actual breakup here. Yeah,
and that's a key part of a character's like character and development.
Yeah, that her breakup is how she's become indentured to Hades.
And isolated and lonely.
Yeah,
she says doesn't have any friends.
Yeah,
there's 2 breakups in the film then.
Yeah.
In terms of like, there's her initial breakup, which causes her in debt to Hades, and then there's the breakup with Hercules.
Yeah, but Adam, you hadn't seen Hercules in a while.
No.
And then you watched the breakup.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think, a big part of it is that Hercules, like, becomes grey. Like, it's harrowing. And I think one of the points that came up as a little bit of a naysayer was just that she sacrifices herself again. Like, I like that as a twist, that, like, it breaks the promise. But it's just kind of like Meg comes full circle in terms of her role in romantic relationships as saving her man.
But it's the difference between like a worthwhile sacrifice and a worthless sacrifice, which was the first one. And she knows that Hercules would give up a lot for her. Like, and one of the things he says when he's doing it is like, people are going to get hurt, aren't they?
Because it takes away that whole damsel in distress scenario, because she pushes him aside.
She even has the line. She says, "I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I'll handle it."
Oh yeah, with the secret.
That centaur guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In that pond, in the waterfall pond.
Yes.
She's like thrashing her about. Yeah.
I even think though, if Hercules wasn't a man worth sacrificing herself for, the fact she still sacrificed herself says a lot about her as a person. That she is a brave, kind, courageous woman.
Yeah.
I think it's a way to sacrifice herself.
She's not just sacrificing herself for Hercules, it's for like literally everyone else that's under threat.
Oh yeah.
Because she knows that Hercules will be able to save everybody. So it isn't it's different to the original sacrifice when it was just for the man.
And also she really goes through it. Like, she's doing this. Like, it takes actually a long time in the film for Hades to be like, oh, his weakness is you. Like, in the beginning, she's just intel. She's just, like, gathering information about Hercules to, like, feed back to Hades. But then when Hades trying to work out his weakness, and Meg's like, he doesn't have any weaknesses. He's, like, perfect. He's amazing. He's, like, the nicest guy I'll ever meet. And he's so strong. And he's got such a big heart. And then that's when Hades is like, oh, like, we're going to get him via you. And she has to like really kind of deal with that in a really hard way for her, and she tries to tell Hercules after they have a lovely date going to see Oedipus in the theatre that like he should stay away from her and it's not a good idea. And then I just think it's such a compelling storyline. I just think she's a really compelling character, and even though Harlan, as you said, Hercules might be a bit one note, I don't think it's a bad note.
Well, I said that to you earlier. I was like, if you're going to be one note, it is not. There are worse notes to be, but but it just means that I don't know. I just don't find him particularly interesting.
It's funny, Harlan, when if someone was to say Hercules to me, the first thing I think of is not Hercules. The first thing I think of is Meg, is the muses, is the music, is the visuals. Hercules is pretty low, to be honest, on the list of things that I think about first.
It's almost a plot device.
Yeah.
What I think also is really good about Hercules is the position of Phil as the friend who like sees that the relationship is going to be bad for their friend and tries to intervene, and then it all goes wrong. Because what happens is obviously Phil sees Meg talking to Hades and like making a remark about like how she'll just do whatever he says. Phil goes back and says to Hercules like, she's mugging you off, like it's she's doing this because she's being told to, she doesn't love you. and Hercules just reacts like so badly, obviously, because you would react that badly, and it ends like a professional relationship and a friendship. When like Phil leaves, Phil's like, you can't just chuck me into like a load of weights and expect that I'll like still be here tomorrow. And like I think that's a really like powerful part of like the way this like film handles breakups as well, is that it is like
your friend's trying to be there for you, but you just, or even if Hercules did acknowledge it, he can't accept it at all.
Because like it is a hard line to walk as a friend is trying to be like in this relationship and a friend is trying to support your friend.
Yeah.
But I think the like what's so good about the way it's handled in this film is that he like loses his professional and like social relationship, and then his romantic relationship is shown up to be kind of what it is, even though that's like a partial story of what it actually is. It's still not like right, and it's proof that a toxic person can just like destroy the real fabric of like how everything's going for you in like a lot of other respects.
Who's the toxic person?
In this case, Meg, because she's working for the Lord of the Underworld.
I feel like it's mythologized, but like there's so many like kind of dynamics that can just be like really applied to situations, which is like, you know, Meg is instrumentalizing Hercules' affection for her to get something out of it that has nothing to do with Hercules and doesn't have his interests at heart. And yeah, like Hercules' good friends point this out, and Hercules loses his rag to the world. You know, like it's in the language of like the vocabulary of Hades and the underworld and centaurs and not centaur and satyrs. But like there is like some pretty good juice in there, and I think it is quite interesting to like think about Meg in particular and like her, I guess, like redemption.
Yeah, as someone who did have very real feelings that were taken out of her control as well by Hades in order to facilitate like the most devastating breakup like known to man.
I mean, she's got baggage.
She's got
previous
fucking
relationship.
Well, she does have baggage, especially shown in I Won't Say I'm in Love. I mean, she's scared to fall in love again. She's scared to trust someone again, almost. Because she's scared of getting hurt.
Yeah, you can't be selling your soul for someone, Meg.
Yeah.
I think that's the real breakup lesson in this whole episode. Don't sell your soul for anyone.
Don't lose yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good lesson. I think it does, unlike the previous one, I guess.
Well, yeah, I wonder what she's done before Hercules.
Yeah, because she was just a little femme fatale, just working to contract with a mob boss, basically.
I mean, even though Hades is charming and hilarious.
And buff.
What's also really nice is that Hercules like breaks up with his idea of being a god at the end of the film, because he realizes that what he wants like a semi-normal life with Meg, and like what like Meg has obviously proven her affections. He's not just gonna leave her like the last guy that left her for something better. He's gonna stick with her.
I get that, but I always had questions about the ending. Could he not be a god but still live on Earth? And could she not live up in the clouds as a human?
Well, think about what he had to go through, and he's the son of a god.
Yeah, well, if you see it in the film, the gods don't actually physically manifest. They work through, like Zeus works through the statue.
True.
So there's implied rules, even though they're not boldly stated.
And also, there's a really good bit that I only noticed today, where when Hercules is fighting the Hydra, when he's kind of held against the wall by the Hydra, he sees a lightning bolt overhead, and that's when he realizes he should like hit the mountain and cause like the boulders to fall, and that's because Zeus is intervening as a lightning bolt. And I never put that together until today.
Wow, I can't even think about that moment. I need to watch it again.
It's really good. I just think it's a great film. I just think Hercules is an absolute winner.
Yeah, but then I also thought his parents would maybe put up a wee bit more of a fight, like, you know, like no, in terms of like you're a god, You're
Alright.
immortal, and you're going to give all that up, and we're going to watch you die. You know?
Look, listen. Hera and Zeus, that relationship's fucked. We know that from mythology.
We know that from mythology, but not the Disney version.
Maybe
they
in Hercules
also,
3 we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe in Hercules 3 we find out about how things went after their baby got stolen from Mount Olympus because one of them wasn't paying enough attention. And I think, they'll just be happy to see someone in a semi-functional relationship, frankly.
I think the Disney version of Zeus isn't spending a lot of time chasing women as a swan or
a bull.
Oh, yeah.
or a bull or
Yeah.
another
Also,
animal.
like the Golden Rain. Or is that someone else?
Wait, no, I think he does to get someone pregnant as the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be him.
Yeah.
Always at it.
Classic
No,
Zeus.
that's it.
Well, I think I'm still quite interested in the idea of like what is the kind of like takeaway from the final decision that Hercules makes between being in Mount Olympus and being on Earth. Yeah, because like you said, Stephen, why isn't there like a version where you can do both? And I think that's because it's like there's like two concepts, and I think it is this idea of like maybe like anything that means you're like kind of godly, whether it's like you have like you're from like a rich family, you're royal, and like choosing to like not go the kind of like blessed route and then like just go and muck it with the mortals, and I think that's a nice ending as well. Like not
and it solidifies their relationship. Do I want a lifetime of happiness, or do I want immortality of not being happy?
But Harlan, how does the actual myth of Heracles end?
Well, you all end in tragedy.
Why?
Because I don't know. They liked it. I don't know. That's like a whole thing, I suppose. I don't know. I think it's like to a degree it's like catharsis, isn't it? In part, maybe.
Because what happened? Harlan's really skirting around the fact that Heracles has like a mad bout of sort of mythical PTSD.
Nice to hear about this.
People not want to hear about it. Maybe they should find out.
I just think it's gonna upset Stephen.
I can take it. It's fine.
So he has a horrific bout of PTSD.
And he kills his wife and children.
Oh my God, he's Jack Nicholson.
And that was, the prequel to The Shining.
Oh.
Yeah, Stephen King got the idea from Hercules.
Not from Hercules.
Wow.
It's not Hercules.
This is
like a different brand. This is like not the canon.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
This is the Hercules edit. And we're all
Disney's canon, obviously.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that we prefer Hercules to Heracles. What do we think the best representation of relationships is out of these films?
Hercules is chiming most with me in this moment. I think, with that notion of like deception, betrayal, and like trying to do the right thing, and redemption, and assistance from your friends. Yeah,
I agree. Hercules is the most realistic in my head at this moment. Just in terms of, it's actually nothing to do with Hercules. It's just all Meg's character arc and how she feels throughout the film. Like I can I don't know. I feel I can relate with her most out of every single character we've spoken about.
It's a tough choice for Harlan.
We know your favorite is Beauty and the Beast. We know that.
So what's 4 and least?
Beauty and the Beast is like it's. I think it's got the most problems, and even though, like I said, I do think that like the two of them could come out of it with like a lot of positive stuff from the experience and use it in a positive future, but the foundation is rotten.
Yeah.
And then I think, the next one would be Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like so kind of unreal in a way, or at least like they're very young, they've not known each other very long. The circumstances under which everything happens is very weird. and so yeah.
I'm intrigued to hear which is
one and which is two.
Because one is so like melodramatic and literally like mythological. Another one's like quite low key, but maybe a bit like
more real.
They're two mad ones to pit against each other. But what would you choose between Hercules and Mulan?
Yeah, I'd probably go Hercules and then Mulan.
Oh, okay.
I just like I quite like that dynamic when you've got two people where like before you get to them possibly having a romantic connection, they're like, how's it like, they're kind of like proving themselves to one another, and it's like, I think you're great and I'm great and I'm going to show you how great I am because you deserve someone that's that great, and they both kind of do that like in like a mutual way.
Agreed. Yeah. Before even any romantic relationship is even thought about. That's what's the case.
You know, when you get to the point where it comes to a home and they're going to have dinner, like they've just got such a solid bedrock to work from, and they've got so much respect and so much. I think they probably at that point they probably do have a lot of love for each other, even if it's maybe not like full blown romantic love because they're still getting to know each other that way. They're gonna have a certain love for each other for like what they've been through together and what they faced and lived through.
Yeah.
Less than a minute. We got it all.
So I think that's the best one.
Is it you crying?
Well, of course. Harlan just described Harlan and Isabella meeting and getting together.
So after that ambush on my feelings from Harlan McGlinchey, I think my rating for the Disney films would be, unfortunately, Beauty and the Beast the lowest.
Wow.
Because I agree it's not great. I agree it's complicated. Number 3, Mulan. Because we don't have we don't have concrete proof. I agree there's a lot going on, but there's also a lot of duplicity around what's actually happening in the relationship. I think it's nice the way they end things, but it's maybe not the most upfront of the rest of them. Then I would say Little Mermaid, because I really rep The Little Mermaid. I really rep Ariel. I think she and Eric are a good couple. And I'm sorry that doesn't match with everybody else.
It's not about matching. Your upfront point, though, should you be together for 3 days, then get married? Is that upfront?
That's super upfront. She fucking arrived on shore and she was controlling animals to make sure she got off with him. And if I had animals affect change for me when I was in a relationship with someone else, things would have sped up with me and Harlan, and we wouldn't have had to establish a bedrock.
Your fish would have a lot to do. Your fish would be active.
Yeah, fish would have to do a lot of work to end one relationship and start.
So essentially, Stephen, it's our fault, is what I'm hearing. We haven't been little animal pals. Yeah, you did a lot of work throughout that period to be like, no, Harlan's better. Well before, almost 6 months before Harlan and I were together. So
you're the animal friend, Adam.
Yeah, Adam's the scuttle.
Yeah.
Oh, what a compliment, to be honest. We loved Scuttle. Wow, 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 wow. Sorry.
But that's how Harlan said that I sing things.
Literally every time you're like, oh, you know that song, and then you just make that noise. It's the same one every time, no matter what the song is.
I don't think that's true. I just think blah as an evocative noise. But thank you both for joining me and Adam. Thanks to Adam for jumping in last minute.
Thanks for having me.
I think we've all had a lovely time.
I've had the best time.
Controversial, and I'm sure people are going to be unhappy. As always, I don't get paid to do this. If you've got problems, deal with them internally.
We await the trolls.
Yeah, I'd love some trolls. As we discussed in previous episodes, I've got tiny little hands, and you can make fun of them as much as you want.
Some Disney trolls, and it's probably me.
Yeah, I have a lot of times about Stephen telling his animator friends about this episode and how that's going to land. But thank you all for listening. If you have any agony aunt questions for one of our less themed, more sort of literal, practical applications of advice episodes, you can fire them into breakinguppodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram @breakinguppodcast. Who do you want to support?
Disney Plus. Disney, please employ Stephen.
Disney.
Oh, thanks.
What Stephen is your new director?
Yeah, you've been fucking mucking yourselves off not having Stephen really at the top.
Yeah, and they already passed me by when they didn't hire me at the Disney store. To be fair, I was 16, but
that's a Disney age.
That's perfect age. You should have been married.
Yeah, I'm still not really over it, but Disney animation, hire me.
I hear that at the beginning of your retirement speech as the Chief Executive Officer of Disney. When I was 16, I applied for a job in Disney.
They passed me over then, but they certainly didn't pass me over now. And you have me to thank for the best representations of relationships in the whole of the Disney canon. You can be like, don't listen to that episode of the Breaking Up podcast, whatever you do.
I'll make you delete it.
Yeah. And then Steve and I get in a long legal battle about information and data protection. Now that Steve's in control of everything to do with Disney.
And it's a full look, a serious style podcast about you disappearing following your conflict with the Disney Chief Executive Officer.
And you two, Harlan, you and Adam can be the ones that investigate when I go completely off grid.
I'll be like the crypto queen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm excited to hear that. Can't wait for you to find me in an undisclosed location.
Is that what happens?
Right. Well, I'm gonna start applying tomorrow, and then we can make this happen. I just want everyone to go and watch Disney films and just have really nice, happy time. That's all I want.
Do we have anything to plug?
I guess, after the horrible disaster in Lebanon, donate what you can. Yeah. If you've got, it's her birthday coming up, and it's just like, do you know what, we're going to present £20 to your chosen relief fund. So I guess.
Also want to promote UFFC.
Yeah, United Friends and Family campaign.
The United Friends and Family campaign, it's at UFFC on Instagram. It is to support people who have been
affected by just like police brutality in custody.
And back them up. Also, LGBT Youth Scotland are a big cool bunch, and I think they should keep doing what they're doing. I think they should get more backing to keep doing what they're doing and protect children in schools in Scotland from terrible teachers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to fire in an agony aunt question, if you want to fire in a recommendation for an episode we should do, absolutely do it. If you want to tell us about a shit breakup that you had that you just want us to talk about on air and critique, then I would love that as well. So fire them all in. Thank you very much for listening.
And tips for people going through breakups.
And tips for people going through breakups, because we don't have them all. I'm only 25.
Yeah.
I've not lived for that long. But if you've got tips, if you've got recommendations, sling them through. Thank you very much. Thanks to Stephen and Harlan again.
Thank you. Had such a good time. Bye.